And we have seen a dramatic change in the community of the teaching staff, in the community of the students, as they work together to solve problems and lead themselves. It's a beautiful thing to have students have the same language to communicate on the playground and in their classrooms, to talk about being proactive or beginning with the end in mind.
It was just a feel that you have when you walk into a school, and I felt love, I felt such focus, and seeing the children share their leadership with us was just so heartwarming, and just to see them blossom right before your eyes is really what this work is all about. It's building confidence, and of course being in this amazing school with Mr. Husbands today, and to see his incredible leadership and the impact that he is making in this community, along with the teachers of this school. It's a little overwhelming.
I am just so honored to be able to have all of our guests here today for our 5th annual Leadership Day. It's all about the students and seeing the leadership potential of all of our kids and everything that they have accomplished over these years. It's something that you'll find embedded in the classrooms, in the school.
Because number 6 is my favorite because we can synergize, and when we're playing a sport, we can help each other. And number 3 is to put first thing first, is put your work first, then playing.
My favorite habit is seek first to understand, then to be understood. As a parent, we tend to assume that we know exactly what our children are thinking or feeling or what they are going through. However, it can be something completely different. We need to give them the opportunity to express themselves in order to fully understand what is going on. This will help us build trust and understanding. I feel that the practice of the 7 habits has had an impact in my family's life because I have learned to be a better listener with my children.
On today's Bridging Futures, we showcase Dollahan Elementary School's Leader in Me program.
Started with a book study of The Leader in Me and decided to make a change here on our campus. And we have seen a dramatic change in the community of the teaching staff, in the community of the students, as they work together to solve problems and lead themselves. It's a beautiful thing to have students have the same language to communicate on the playground and in their classrooms, to talk about being proactive or beginning with the end in mind.
It was just a feel that you have when you walk into a school, and I felt love, I felt such focus, and seeing the children share their leadership with us was just so heartwarming, and just to see them blossom right before your eyes is really what this work is all about. It's building confidence, and of course being in this amazing school with Mr. Husbands today, and to see his incredible leadership and the impact that he is making in this community, along with the teachers of this school. It's a little overwhelming.
I am just so honored to be able to have all of our guests here today for our 5th annual Leadership Day. It's all about the students and seeing the leadership potential of all of our kids and everything that they have accomplished over these years. It's something that you'll find embedded in the classrooms, in the school.
Because number 6 is my favorite because we can synergize, and when we're playing a sport, we can help each other. And number 3 is to put first thing first, is put your work first, then playing.
My favorite habit is seek first to understand, then to be understood. As a parent, we tend to assume that we know exactly what our children are thinking or feeling or what they are going through. However, it can be something completely different. We need to give them the opportunity to express themselves in order to fully understand what is going on. This will help us build trust and understanding. I feel that the practice of the 7 habits has had an impact in my family's life because I have learned to be a better listener with my children.
On today's Bridging Futures, we showcase Dullahan Elementary School's Leader in Me program.
We've started with a book study of The Leader in Me and decided to make a change here on our campus. And we have seen a dramatic change in the community of the teaching staff, in the community of the students, as they work together to solve problems and lead themselves. It's a beautiful thing to have students have the same language to communicate on the playground and in their classrooms, to talk about being proactive or beginning with the end in mind.
It was just a feel that you have when you walk into a school, and I felt love, I felt such focus, and seeing the children share their leadership with us was just so heartwarming, and to see them blossom right before your eyes is really what this work is all about. It's building confidence, and of course being in this amazing school with Mr. Husbands today, and to see his incredible leadership and the impact that he is making in this community along with the teachers of this school. It's a little overwhelming.
I am just so honored to be able to have all of our guests here today for our 5th annual Leadership Day. It's all about the students and seeing the leadership potential of all of our kids and everything that they have accomplished over these years. It's something that you'll find embedded in the classrooms, in the school.
Go sit down over there.
Where is everybody?
Must be summertime.
Save this. For D1. Look it over in your spare time before we meet.
Edgar, hold on 1 second.
After tonight,
Edgar.
we'll be able to. You have one of these? Okay. I'll get it to you. Or see me. Please. You're welcome.
Yeah, we're good.
Everybody good? Yep, ready. And,
Do we have a motion to adjourn closed session?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Time is 7:03. Okay, open session has reconvened. At the direction of the Board of Education, board meetings are recorded, broadcasted, and streamed live, and may capture images and sounds of those attending the meeting. So with that, good evening, and I'd like to ask Mr. Gil Navarro if he could lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Be honored as a veteran. Put your right hand over your heart. Repeat after me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, and for those of you who do not know, Mr. Gil Navarro is the Director of the Division 2 at the San Bernardino Valley Municipal Water District. Thank you, Mr. Navarro, for leading us in the pledge. Next, we go to report out of closed session.
Thank you, President Montez. We have some reading out of closed section. We have closed session. The Board of Education accepted the administrative appointment of Mario Carranza, elementary principal at Dunn Elementary. The roll call vote was as follows. It was unanimous, with Nancy G. O'Kelly, Vice President, being absent. The Board of Education accepted the administrative appointment of Tina Lingenfelter, elementary principal at Fitzgerald Elementary School. The roll call vote was as follows. It was unanimous, with Nancy Gio Kelly, Vice President, being absent. Also in closed session, the Board of Education took action to approve Resolution 181943 regarding the reassignment of certificated administrative employees for the 2019-2020 school year pursuant to Board Policy 4314. Copies of the resolution are available in the front lobby. The roll call vote was unanimous, with Nancy Gio Kelly, Vice President, being absent. That's all I have. No, that's it.
All right, with that, do we have a motion to approve tonight's agenda with the exception of item H 10.1?
I'll make that motion.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. So before we start with presentations, the Board of Education would like to give special thanks and say a few words for Mrs. Rosie Williams, who will be retiring from Rialto Unified School District, and after many, many years of being with our district and serving as the Board of Education Executive Secretary, we would like to just thank her with a few items. Of course, please come on up.
She's going to bring the bouquet out. Okay.
We're going to get the flowers. We're going to get the flowers and...
Oh, wow.
You hold them for her.
Yeah, how about, yeah.
Yeah, that'd be close.
There you go. Close my earrings.
And if you could just say just one thing, Rosie, just one. Please.
This over here. Okay, right here. Okay, Leslie?
Well, I'm a woman of few words, so I just want to say thank you, and I appreciate all the support that you've given me over the years. Thank you. It's been a joy.
Thank you.
And we thank you again, Rosie.
Okay, we have a presentation. I'm going to have Mr. Kelly Bruce do the introduction.
Thank you, Dr. McDuffie. Good evening, President Montez, distinguished board members, Dr. McDuffie, and viewing audience, and those present here this evening. It's my pleasure to introduce, it's a pleasure to introduce Mr. Gil Navarro. He is an education advocate in the community. He did our Pledge of Allegiance this evening, and he is here this evening to share with you Senate Bill, I believe it is 1159. It has to do with opportunities for students to receive certification that leads to careers, and what I'm very grateful for is he has those who have been able to leverage the opportunity to share their stories about careers that they have pursued either on their way or have already received the licensing that's associated with these careers. You do have a handout in both English and Spanish that I'd like you to refer to, because I know he's going to get into the bill. And I know that we do have out in the foyer area for the audience, we have both English and Spanish versions that are out there. If you'd like a copy, what we can do is maybe if Dr. Madrid could possibly pick it up for us. If you raise your hand, what we'll do is we'll bring them in and we'll hand them to you. And with that said, I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to Gil.
Thank you, Kelly, and good evening, Board President, board members. and Dr. McDuffie. My name is Gil Navarro, as you heard. I'm an education advocate. My main focus is helping young people become good students in the respective district and good citizens when they graduate from high school. This evening, I'm really pleased to share this Senate Bill 1159 with the community and the audience. And I want to thank Rialto Unified for taking the lead on this, especially with the help of Kelly Bruce. I've worked well with Kelly with other issues, and I just want to appreciate your staff support. And Kelly is very sensitive. I really appreciate working with him. But I have here this evening some students that I have advocated for, and I'm going to give you a brief introduction, and they're going to speak on their own. But lots of times students that I've advocated that graduate from high school, they still want to hang around me. And lots of times they're going on to college or other careers. And I say, yeah, you're welcome to keep taking advantage of any advice and direction. And these young ladies, I'll give you a little brief introduction, and you'll see how many years some of them have been with me. The first young lady I want to introduce, she was born here in California, and 2 years back to Mexico. And she came back 4 years ago, was 18 years old, did not speak any English. And within those years, she speaks English. She graduated from high school and attended Valley College. She just graduated from Valley last month, and she's been accepted at UCR. So no further ado, let me introduce Luz Garcia. Luz?
Good evening, board members. My name is Luz Garcia, as Gil said. I recently graduated from San Bernardino Valley College, and I will be attending UC Riverside in the fall. I am part of Gil Navarro's team. Tonight, I will be touching a critical and important issue that our population is facing. This issue is called structural violence, targeting our minorities. This type of violence occurs when social, economic, and political structures privilege certain classes, races, nationalities, or others, and by giving them a greater access to goods, resources, and opportunities. This violence is also imposed indirectly through the system. This time, immigrants are the target of this system. Many of them are students that came to this country without their permission, but knowing in their inside that their journey was going to take them to a better life. With the recent tweets of our presidents, our students are in a terrible position. Our students are scared, and many of them do not feel secure in their own homes. And my question is, why our schools are not giving them the correct information? Our students are not even sure if there are any opportunities for them when they graduate from high school. Because of this, I'm requesting you to not impose this structural violence to your students without a legal status. Please inform them about SB 1159, the law that allows undocumented immigrants to apply to 40 different state licenses. Tell the students that they can be someone in life, that they can legally work and achieve the life of their dreams. Thank you.
Thank you, Luz. When Luz was 18 in Mexico before she came back to California, she was an editor of a newspaper, so she's in somewhat political family there in Mexico, so it helped enlighten her on free speech. The next young lady I want to introduce is a young lady that I've advocated since the 12th grade. And she went on to Valley College, graduated, and get a little more emotional. And several weeks ago, I went to her graduation at UCR. So introduce Cynthia out of class. Cynthia?
Good evening, board members. My name is Cynthia, and I recently graduated from UCR. I just wanted to let you know that this opportunity of you, if schools are able to present and inform other students about the opportunity of the licenses that they are able to go ahead and get a job, and it's only using ITIN number, which most do have and are aware of. They don't need a Social Security. This will bring so many opportunities for those who thought that they wouldn't be able to do anything else after they graduated high school, or some even are afraid to attend college because they do not have the information of that there's possibilities of scholarships now that there's the licenses, and nobody has brought them to the attention. Not a lot of people know about these licenses either, and it's been since 2016 that these licenses were available for them. If there's like workshops or anything that is able to inform them that they, not only that it's students with DACA, but students without DACA even can apply to these licenses, and it would open a lot of doors for those students who feel entrapped in a small circle that they can't do anything or something like that. So yes, that would be all for me. Thank you.
I have to apologize. I get emotional on these things. Excuse me. And the next young lady, who I also have been mentoring since the 12th grade, she's actually an example, and I'm going to explain a little bit more about this law once this last student speaks, is an example how this law has helped her individually. She has graduated from high school and went on to Valley College and taken some college courses. And when this law was passed in 2016, I thought this was great for adults in general. I thought that was a great opportunity that if you're in this country legally, undocumented, don't have DACA, that you can apply for the state license. But then it dawned on me last year, I said, what about undocumented students? Shouldn't they know also this opportunity? So just in case they decide not to go to college right after high school, they may want to take advantage of the licensing opportunity for them, and being more legal with a license, and they can earn more money once they have a state license. So this young lady, like I say, advocated since the 12th grade, and in her own words, she'll tell you how she felt all these years. But then I approached her and I said, look, this is an opportunity. I said, I used to be a notary years ago. How about becoming a notary? And so I assisted with the paperwork. She took the workshop, took the state test, and last December, the San Bernardino County Clerk administered the oath to her, and she's been appointed by Alex Padilla, our Secretary of State, as an official notary. With no further ado, Gabby, come on up.
Good evening, board members. As Gil was saying, I met him when I was in the 12th grade. I met him a couple months before I graduated, and I'm really thankful for that because I didn't really have the information. I'm a first generation that actually attends to college, so I didn't know how to actually apply because, as he said, I don't have a legal status here, so I didn't know how to the process of me actually being able to attend to college. And when I met him, he actually introduced me to SB 540, which is another law that California has now for students that doesn't have a legal status here. And after that, when I graduated, I didn't really feel like I had a vision that I wanted to do better. I didn't want to stay in the same place as my parents. I wanted to have a better future, but I was discouraged because I knew that I didn't have a legal status here, so I didn't know how to I wanted to go to school, but then I was like, if I do graduate from school, how am I gonna actually practice what I go to school for if I don't have a legal status here? So all these years, I'm 23 right now, so it's been like 5 years since I met Gil. All these years, I'm attending to Valley, but I didn't really know how to, because what to do. I felt down, I felt depressed, I didn't know what to do. So I was just going to school, but I didn't really feel motivated because I was just okay, what's the point of me going to university if I'm not gonna be able to get a job? So when he introduced me to this new law that passed in 2016, SB 1159, right? and I learned about the licenses that I can get now. It's like it opened like so many doors for me now, because I know that now I can go to school and actually get a job and have a better future. And I just encourage you. I encourage you guys to like talk to the students graduating from high school, because sometimes, like I said, as first generation, you don't have that information, so you don't know what to do. You feel lost. You feel like you don't know what to do. So it's really important to inform them to and so that they know what to do, and so that they know that there's opportunities for them to actually have a better future and not stay stuck in that place where you don't know what to do. You don't know what's gonna be your future. And right now I'm really excited. Like he said, I recently got my notary license. I'm planning to get my real estate license as well. So I'm really happy. I'm really motivated, and I know that now I have a better. I can see, like I know that I can have a better future, and that's all I want to say. Thank you.
Thank you, Gabby. In conclusion, I know you have the handout, but I do want to read this publicly, that immigrants in the country legally can apply for professional licenses under a new California law that aims to integrate them into the working world and generate new tax dollars for the state. So it's a double whammy there. The new law, SB 1159, requires all 40 licensing boards under the California Department of Consumer Affairs to consider applicants regardless of immigration status. And basically, prior to this law, if you wanted to apply for a state license, they would just ask for a social security number. They never asked you for legal status. Well, now under the new law change, they will ask you for a social security number or a TIN number, which is an acronym for taxpayer individual number. And you can apply that through the IRS. And here's probably the other area that's very sensitive. We're not asking schools, districts to go to individual students and say, are you here legally or not? We're not asking that. All we're saying is that the opportunity for undocumented students in general, and you could present this to all students, and then they will decide for themselves if they want to come forward and pursue it, that they are aware of this resource opportunity if they decide to pursue this when they graduate from high school. So just make them aware, that's all we're really asking. And I know that your staff has already presented this to counselors and asked them to share with us. So, Rialto is really taking the lead to helping young people with opportunities to better themselves after they graduate from Rialto Unified. And again, I just want to thank you for the opportunity. I'm glad you met some of my students. I have more. But as you can tell, I'm very proud of them. Thank you.
And we thank you, Mr. Navarro, and thank you, Mr. Bruce, for helping them with that. And of course, thank you to the students who came and shared with us you guys' testimonies. Thank you. Next, we go to comments, section 3. Item 1, public comments from the floor. At this time, any person wishing to speak on any item not on the agenda will be granted 3 minutes. Do we have any? For the first time all year, we actually don't have any. Okay. That takes us to item 2, public comments on the agenda. Any person wishing to speak on the agenda will be granted 3 minutes. All right, you know it's summertime. Hearing none, we go to item 3, comments from Association Executive Board members. First in line is Rialto Education Association, REA. I'm guessing they're enjoying summer break too. Okay, in case one of them come forward, we'll let them go after. California School Employees Association, CSEA. All right, winner.
Chicken dinner. Good evening, Rialto Unified family. And yes, I'm here.
Actually, Lisa's out back east in Ohio or in Michigan, looking over some property she bought and enjoying a little time away.
I don't blame her.
So, I want to talk about 2 items tonight. First, I want to talk about the last board meeting. I attended the budgetary portion, and as I sat there and took it all in, my head was kind of spinning like you kind of echoed my thoughts. Are we in trouble or are we not? After that meeting, I took that information and used the resources that CACA provides to us as presidents and did a little investigating. And I found it interesting that some words echoed with me about the deficit spending budget and about how the county is asking for that, and we had money to spend. This is important to me because as we sit in negotiations and as the board is updated by staff privately, it's been a struggle at the table for us. I know the class and comp study is going on. That is a tedious process. We don't know the outcome, and that could be a while. But it's just interesting that the district has that money to spend and has engaged in investing it in staff in other areas, which is great. Rialto Unified is setting the standard, I think, in our state in the services we provide our students. Definitely. In fact, at the last board meeting, I forgot to mention that I had attended the nutrition service kickoff. What an honor it is to be part of a district that does that for its community. Feeds our students all summer long, even when school's out. It's a rarity. So hats off to all the district for doing that. I know that's a big task by our nutrition service department and the staff there. So congratulations on that. Just keep that in mind. It's something that classified staff has noticed after that meeting, that we have money, but we don't have money. We were getting mixed signals. So the second thing I wanted to talk about was we are growing as a district. It is a concern to see some of the higher positions staffed in the way that they are. And what I'm speaking about is there was a job flown this week. I know that position, the salary it appears like it's almost doubled from what it was. And that's a position that I know deserved to have been raised previously. So that's kind of odd to us. That has a bad perception, if you will. So just wanted to kind of keep that in mind. I want to actually thank Dr. Avila for including the bargaining units in the hiring process. That's been a blessing, I think. It's definitely been an eye-opener to me. Yep. I've learned a lot in sitting in on those meetings. I'm excited to see the way we're moving and the staff that we're hiring. We're hiring very qualified people. I'm sad to see so many people go. Rosie, you're going to be missed. This is the last week for a lot of our employees. There are some that have left, but this is that week. So there's been
officially.
Yes. There's been a lot of retirement parties. So we're thankful to all the staff that have served so well in this district. Myself especially, I'm a past student here, raised my family here. My kids graduated from Carter, so get a little choked up there. I appreciate all the staff here. So thank you very much. Have a good evening. We'll see you at the next one.
Thank you. Next we go to Communication Workers of America, CWA. Okay, then Rialto School Managers Association, RSMA. Yeah, everybody's on vacation. Okay, comments from our superintendent and in his place, Dr. McDuffie, Assistant Superintendent.
Thank you, President Montez. I am not on vacation. I just want to let you know that just once a year, Dr. Avila misses a school board meeting in June due to an education work conference, but he will be back next meeting in July. I have a couple of things to remind you of before I read a message from Dr. Avila. The summer school graduations will be held on Thursday, July 16th, 4:30 p.m. at Eisenhower High School. So we all look forward to that. And also, Nutrition Services wants to remind everyone about the second annual Pump It Up barbecue event that will be held July 10th at Rialto City Park, where, of course, children ages 2 to 18 can eat free from 11:15 to 12:15. As Superintendent Dr. Avila is at a work conference, he wanted me to read this brief open letter to Miss Rosie Williams. But before I do that, I just want to, and I'm not very good at this at all, because when I look at people and tell them how much I appreciate them and love them and thank them for the work that they've done for me. Rosie, thank you so very much. You have always been kind to me. You've always been professional, and I'm going to miss you. I haven't had an opportunity to work with you as long as everyone here, but I truly am going to miss you, and I wish you all the happiness and everything that you deserve, the best that you deserve, okay? So just wanted to let you know that. Dr. Avila, I'm going to go back to my script, so let me go back up a minute. Dr. Avila is a work conference, but he wanted me to read this open letter to Miss Rosie Williams, who has loyally, confidentially, and above all, professionally served the Board of Education and the Superintendent's office for over a decade. This is Mrs. Williams' last week before she retires. I would like to read this on behalf of Dr. Avila, but I'm sure those who know Rosie, much like the entire Board of Education, will echo Dr. Avila's sentiments. Dear Rosie, you will be missed. You, much like me, are not openly expressive to everyone, but you are very special to those who you come into contact with on a daily basis. I am forever grateful for the professionalism and kind demeanor that you welcomed me into the superintendent's office in 2015. Your gentle and agreeable fit was not exclusive to just our office, as you always found ways to genuinely connect with many coworkers. You are a loyal, confidential government employee whose calm and collected disposition was a pleasant contrast to the hectic and sometimes chaotic nature of events that usually occur at high-level offices. In 1991, you started out as a secretary at the then Rialto Junior High School, moving to the central office in business services as an administrative secretary in 2002. 7 years later, you earned the position of executive secretary for the Board of Education in 2009, working within the superintendent's office. Thank you for over 27 years of service and dedication to the staff, parents, and students of our great district. Your absence from your desk will be felt, but we know that because of your hard work and countless hours you have put in away from your family, especially on board meeting nights, you have earned much deserved rest and relaxation. Please enjoy the time with your family. Turn off that alarm clock. No more reminders, no more calendars, and no more phone calls. Thank you, Rosie. We will never forget you and hope you will always come back and visit us.
And just so you know, Rosie, I put the same exact thing in your card. Every single word. Every single word.
Thank you, Rosie. That's all I have, President Montes.
Thank you. That was very, very good, Dr. McDuffie. Thank you. Mr. Ayala.
Thank you, President Montes. I, too, want to thank you, Rosie, for welcoming me, making me feel comfortable, even though we seem like we're moving smoothly at times. It's like that duck, you know. It's smooth on top of the water, but underneath, you know, you're paddling as fast as you can, and you have a way to make people feel comfortable and accepted, and I want to thank you for that. Made my job up here a lot easier. So I wish you the best. My comments tonight. Yeah, my comments tonight, based on what was said, Gil Navarro touched my heart. I want to first start with, you know, to remind everybody that this is a nonpartisan position that we have up here. So we're not really advocating for any sides of the fence. However, I think we can all agree that many of the goals that we have for our kids and our staff, people in general, is to provide fair opportunities for all. And, you know, there's different ways of looking at that, but, you know, we want to live and thrive. And a lot of this comes because we have free education and we have higher education, but, you know, there are grants, there's loans, there's advice that we get from people that will help us and assist us to move in that direction. And then we graduate and hopefully there's fair job opportunities. But even with all this, you still need a little more. And I guess that's kind of like the message that I want to share with you. And, you know, I can't help but think when I read something like this that, you know, my observation, and it's pretty simple, but you know, you put a sandbox in the school at a very early age for children, and if you have the parents in a one-sided window looking at the kids, I think you would see those kids in that sandbox with smiles on their faces. They just want somebody to throw the ball back to them or fill in their little bucket of sand, hand them the shovel. They just want to play. It's so innocent, it's beautiful. However, as our kids go home, sometimes the parents are maybe not that diplomatic, or they don't think that the kids are listening to them. So maybe what we're saying here is indirect communication. And we don't mean to, or somebody doesn't mean to, but you say things maybe as a joke that are not really that inspiring. They're actually hurtful. You know, and if we're going to progress, and our goals are to provide fair opportunities upon graduation, and you know, we need to learn to play in that sandbox, and our kids need to go home and be given a fair chance and not be influenced in a negative way. You know, there's two sides of the fence, and sometimes people will make reference to their position and sometimes maybe misguide the child. And without going into details, I just hope that our parents find a way to connect their heart and their mind together, so when their kids are indirectly listening, don't listen to rhetoric that will lead them astray in the wrong direction. And I think maybe what I said, hopefully somebody out there will say, I know what Mr. Ayala was saying this time. Sometimes he speaks in foreign tongue, but that's from the bottom of my heart, and I really believe that. So with that said, I won't pass the mic over to our president, Mr. Montes.
Thank you, Mr. Ayala.
Yeah.
Thank you. I noticed that CWA has walked in, and if they would like to still make a public comment, we'll do so after the board. Ms. Walker?
Oh, okay. It's summertime, so my words are just for Miss Rosie. I just want to thank you. From the time I came on the board 5 years ago, you have always been gracious, again, professional, and in the words of from the Bible, don't know what this Corinthians something, what love is. Love is patient, and love is kind. And I've only experienced that with you. Thank you for your service to us as a board. Thank you for me and what you have served for Dr. Avila in relationship to the work that we do. But I wish you a blessed retirement. I wish you joy for the rest of your days. And yes, if you decide to come back and see us, do. But if you don't, you just think about us from home. All right? Thank you.
Thank you.
That's in my packet.
Thank you, Mr. Martinez.
Thank you, Mr. President. Rosie, it seems like you've been our secretary forever. Mr. Ayala and I came in, elected 2008, or was it 2009, seated December 2009. Shortly
2008.
thereafter.
It was 2008.
Was it?
I remember that election.
Okay, that's right. You're right. So December 2008. Shortly thereafter, we met, and it seems like you've been there forever. And things have run well with you. Thank you. I know that I can call you, or could have called you, and I often did, and sometimes you were calm, and it was like I could read your voice. Sometimes I'd say, oh, having one of those days. Yeah, because, yeah, superintendent's office versus superintendent's office. And you're being able to weather all of that, where a lot of people could not. So thank you for your kindness to me and to the board, your public service to the community. I know you don't live in this community, but you are part of our community, and you always will be right here. So thanks for all you've done. I would like to have a little bit more to address to other. Okay. To those retiring, thank you for your service. To those who are staying, thank you for the past year. To the lunch ladies who are tireless, try and get some rest in between. To those coming on, those yet to be hired, we're looking for good staff to take care of our people and our kids and our community. Those leaving us will be missed. They've all left their mark. I don't know all their names, I don't know all their faces, but the community knows you. And you have changed lives, whether you're a bus driver, a custodian, a secretary, a teacher, or principal, or even up here at the office. Just a big thank you to everyone. Mr. President.
Thank you, Mr. Martinez. And I see that Iris Chu is here tonight, and I believe I had seen that she was going to also be retiring. So congratulations, Mrs. Chu, on this next chapter of your life. We thank you for all of your hard work and service to this district. Seeing you at the We Honor Our Own, having, a little dance here and there. I saw you tearing it up on that sideline dance they call. What do they call it?
Electricide?
Yeah, I don't know how to do it, but it confuses the heck out of me because people go this way, then they go that way, then they go that way, and I'm like, nah, I can't do that. Even though I was voted best dancer in high school, I don't know how, but I saw her doing that dance, and I thought that was cool. So thank you, Iris, for all of your hard work and dedication to our district, and we hope you enjoy the next chapter of your life. And to all of the people who are retiring, again, we've thanked them before. Again, we thank you because for many, this month officially is their last month. For all of their hard work and dedication. All of the teachers, all of the admin, all of the directors, counselors, everyone that has decided to retire this year, we thank you for everything, for all the good and maybe for a little of the bad. Because remember, students especially always remember two people in school, and it's the good teachers and the bad teachers. So take that with a grain of salt. We learn from everyone, and we thank everyone for all of their hard work and blood, sweat, and tears. But I especially want to thank Rosie. When I got elected here 9 years ago, it's been that long. I'm getting gray hairs and everything. Yeah. It was a different time. It was a different scene. It was a different board. It was a different leadership. And one of the things that's always amazed me is Rosie's ability to work with whoever, whenever, wherever, and weather the storms. Because for anyone that wasn't here before 2015, we went through some really tough times. This district was tried by fire, had a lot of talk about Rosie coming to the board meetings. We were here sometimes, seemed to like 2 a.m. sometimes, and Rosie has been through it all. Rosie has seen it all. If I was a consultant somewhere, I would hire her just as a consultant to help with troubling districts, because she carries a great wealth of experience with her, and we thank her. If it's true that at some schools the secretaries are the glue that hold it all together, that in some ways run the school, then I would think Rosie would be that one secretary at this district office who is that glue. So we thank you again for all of your hard work, and I just want to share with everyone. I'll never forget the first time I met Rosie. She asked me, just got elected, and she was getting my information. She says, Mr. Montes, I need your social security number for our records. And I looked at her and I said, I don't have one. And she looked at me, and then I said, I'm just kidding. And she says, oh, Mr. Montes, I'm going to have to get used to your humor. And I'll never forget that. I just caught her off guard, and I was just joking. I really was joking, but she looked at me like, how did you just get elected? But I'll never forget that, and again, we thank her for everything. We can't thank you enough. We're so grateful, and just as grateful and thankful that we are, we know there's many people in this district who are just as grateful and thankful for all of your service. So again, thank you, Rosie, and we thank your family for letting for sharing you with us, and we don't plan on going anywhere anytime soon. So if you want to stop by and say hi, there's plenty of people here that would like to see you again sometime. So thank you again, and please enjoy your retirement. So if CWA would not like to take the podium, okay, well, we appreciate you coming on summer break and coming and enjoying our board meeting with us. Thank you. Next, we go to
the public hearing.
Public hearing. All right.
So moved to open public hearing, item D1.
Second.
Public hearing, item 1. Pursuant to the requirements of government code and board policy, the forum for public disclosure of proposed collective bargaining agreement AB 1200, statutes of 1991, chapter 1213, as revised by AB 2756, statutes of 2004, chapter 25, government code 3547.5, between the Rialto Education Association, REA, and the Rialto Unified School District Board of Education is hereby posted in compliance with the legislative requirements for public notice. It's reference D 1.1 through 5 in the agenda. And do we have any comments on this public hearing? No, I'm sorry. All in favor of opening?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Now that it's open, do we have any public comment on public hearing?
7:50.
The time is 7:50. Okay, hearing no public comment on this public hearing, do we have a motion to close public hearing?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Time.
The time is 7:50 and 30 seconds. Consent calendar items. All items on the consent calendar will be acted upon in one motion unless pulled by the Board of Education members or the superintendent for individual action. Do we have a motion to approve consent calendar items reference E through J with the exception of item H 10.1 that was pulled?
So moved.
Do we have it?
Second as amended.
Thank you. Any questions or comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Next we go to reference K, discussion action items. And let me just warn some of you.
They're going to make us work tonight.
Yeah, especially the person reading each item. We've got 26 items for tonight. Just warning you. All right. Item 1. Do we have a motion to approve an agreement with Consortium on Reaching Excellence in Education Corps to provide 26 training sessions for elementary school sites in systematic instruction in phonological awareness, phonics, and sight words, SIPs, effective August 1st, 2019 through May 22nd, 2020 at a cost of $71,475 to be paid from the general fund, reference K 1.1.
So moved.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Questions or comments?
Question. This was controversial a couple of years back, and I just want to know if things have been worked out in that respect.
I think I'm going to ask Beth Curtis to come up and speak. She has more of the elementary background, the history here.
Thank you for being available, Ms. Curtis.
I was like, is she here?
Yep. Still smiling. We're on number 1, that's why.
Good evening, everybody.
Good evening.
President, board members, audience. Thank you. I'm Beth Curtis. New title.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Interdisciplinary lead agent, interdisciplinary studies and humanities.
Lead academic agent.
Thank you. I need to work on it. I'm going to work on it. But thank you for the opportunity. Yes, Mr. Martinez, regarding SIPs, there has not been any controversy in the last few years that I've heard of at all. It's definitely a need in this district to build that foundation. There are 3 different levels of SIPs, beginning, emerging, and challenge. And if our students can truly make it through all 3 levels, along with our core adoption, our students will have a really firm foundation in literacy that will carry them throughout their life and career.
As long as our teachers are good with it. That was the
Yes.
controversy before.
Yes, nothing recently. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Comment. Just want to remind everyone what has been said about the work that is vital important in our elementary schools, particularly in 3rd grade, that I guess the statistics have brought out that if a child is at grade level upon leaving 3rd grade in reading, they're going to have a greater chance of success through the years in high school. So any efforts that we do to help our kids at those lower levels in reading is going to pay off according to the literature and the documentation and the data. So that's definitely a move in the right direction. We just can't throw enough resources in that area.
Thank you, Mr. Ayala. Any other questions or comments? With that, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. That's 4. Next, we go to item 2, accept the after-school safety and enrichment for teens, also known as ASSETS grant from the Expanded Learning Division, EXLD of the California Department of Education to provide a one-time grant fund of $1,250,000 that will be reimbursed through a 5-year period. Reference K 2.1.
So moved.
Second.
Questions or comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Next, we go to item K3, approve an agreement with staff rehab to provide nursing services for students in county program and non-public schools, SLPAs for speech services, and credentialed teachers for students who need home instruction during the day, effective July 1st, 2019 through June 30th, 2020, at a cost of $300,000 to be paid from the general fund. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Questions or comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Next is item 4. Do we have a motion to approve the Rialto Unified School District's Local Control and Accountability Plan, LCAP, for 2019-2020 fiscal year with the purpose of identifying and meeting annual goals for all students with specific actions and services to address state and local priorities?
So moved.
Second.
Questions or comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Next is item 5. Do we have a motion to approve the Every Student Succeeds Act, Local Control and Accountability Plan, federal addendum which addresses specified local education agency level federal provisions for the programs included, more specific documentation of school level activities, and other program compliance requirements will be addressed in school plans and other district policies and procedures, as well as other fiscal and program records.
So moved.
Do we have,
Second.
questions or comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Next, we go to item 6. Do we have a motion to adopt the fiscal year 2019 through 2020 budget, including commitment of funds and all stated conditions for the following funds: general, adult education, capital facilities, child development, deferred maintenance, nutrition services, state school building and modernization, special reserve, bond interest and redemption, and general obligation bond.
So moved.
Second.
Questions or comments?
We had a positive certification, correct?
Yes.
That's a green light.
Thank you to Fiscal Services, Ms. Romo. Thank you for your hard work and your staff. Compliments.
And I just want to say, Rosie, you are officially retired, but thank you. Thank you.
Call for the vote.
Call for the vote?
Aye.
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 And next we go to item 7, adopt resolution. Do we have a motion to adopt resolution number 181941, accepting the 2019 through 2020 child development contract, CSPP-9427-00, for the amount of $3,984,266 with the California Department of Education, and authorizes Mohammed Z. Islam, Associate Superintendent Business Services, as the signer of said agreement.
So moved.
Do we have a second? Any questions or comment?
Is this coming out of the general fund? Just doesn't say. It's adopting a resolution.
It's accepting the child development contract with the California Department of Education.
It's a grant from the state.
It's a grant.
It's right. It's grant money coming from the state.
Awesome.
This is income.
Awesome.
Yeah, with the California Department of Ed.
That was my question. We're good.
So the items to authorize Mohammed Islam, Associate Superintendent, as the signer.
Good.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. Next, we go to item 8. Do we have a motion to approve a memorandum of understanding with the City of Rialto for 3 years to provide 3 school resource officers to serve at 3 high schools and 4 middle schools within the district, effective July 1st, 2019 through June 30th, 2020, at a cost of $155,000 per year, for a total cost of $465,000 to be paid from the general fund. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Do we have any questions or comments?
I have a question. Well, the rationale between why we opted to do a 3-year commitment, we hadn't really been looking at that long that time. Does anybody give any?
You know, when I spoke with Chief Larry about the contracts, he said it's sort of business as usual. As you know, when we contract our SROs, I think we work with 3 different police departments. And so kind of getting that consolidated so that we're moving through with the contracts as an annual. So his explanation to me was we're proceeding as usual in Rialto. I don't believe he's here tonight, so if there's follow-up or follow-through, then I'd be happy to circle back and find out more.
These are the sworn officers, correct?
Yes.
Any other questions or comments?
Yes.
Comment.
Go ahead.
Just to remind people that when you get in these large amount of contracts, things can go south. And I won't mention the locales, but I will tell you that there was a large contract a few years ago with various agencies with particular school districts, and it got out of hand when the contracts were nullified for whatever reason. And the negative part of this is that if the leaders of those entities would have got together, lives could have been saved. That's how serious it is. It could get. Not to bring alarms, but when you've got people who are getting paid overtime in agencies, and you've got lack of communication, and you've got youth who feel like they're being bullied or something like that, it can get out of hand. It's like playing with fire. So at any time in the future that we have any kind of questions between a city, a school district, the leaders need to talk, because they are in control, not the officers. Just throwing that out there.
Alrighty, any other questions or comments?
I'm assuming that these are the 3 high schools. What are we doing for the 4th high school, Myler?
So they do share duties and responsibilities. You're right, it's 3 SROs, and then what happens is with Myler Zupanik, it's shared. And so, you know, I can tell you kind of the landscape. Safety and security in our district is looking at, you know, the role that they play in terms of preventive action, and under the direction, in many ways, with Angela Brantley and kind of our restorative practices, kind of a new shift for us. Even I think you're going to see, I don't know how they appear, kind of more proactive, some change in terminology. However, when we do have police, we kind of move from the ed code more into the, I don't know what you
Penal
call it.
code.
Right, exactly. And we need to know exactly how we navigate that effectively. What I personally appreciate about a 3-year contract, is being a previous high school principal, is you really want to do a good job of finding the right fit in terms of a police officer working with kids. And if you're renewing the contract every single year, sometimes what you don't have is the longevity in terms of building the relationships with the community, with the schools, and with the kids and the parents. And so what I appreciate about a 3-year contract is you get to have this ongoing conversation, and when somebody's landed that's highly effective and knowing how to navigate the penal code versus the ed code, I think what you get is you know, a better outcome overall if you do it well. And so, you know, I guess I defer to, I think 3 years is actually stronger. It's just there's a commitment that leaders need to meet. So that means Chief Leary with PD to have discussions and training so that we make sure we navigate this correctly.
One last comment. It's the kids that, use a lot of poor judgment sometimes. It could be at a football game somewhere. And then you have a young officer that takes it personal. He's got a uniform on, and they clash. And, these kids are armed sometimes.
Right.
And so, it can be very terrifying, very scary. Hopefully, when you have the good leadership, you can prevent these things. You have people observing, taking the temperature, so to speak, of what's going on. They're listening, they're intact. Because when you got large movement of people, you've got clubs, organizations, you've got unauthorized groups attending these events, and they can escalate. Not to put your head in the hole and say things will never happen. You've got to stay on top of things, and that's where you need the leaders getting together saying, hey, this is what's coming down. We had great leadership under Saida when we had the walkouts, and we got commended here in Rialto. What did we do? We allowed the youth to express themselves, and we want to hear from them. But when you shunt that and you close things off, all of a sudden you could get surprises. So we're moving in the right direction, but this wasn't the incident. I don't want to bring the names up, but it happened about 3 years ago, and I couldn't believe what I was reading in the newspaper, and it was a tragedy for about 3 families. Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Rialto. Mrs. Walker?
And I'd just like to say, not in any way taking away from what you just said, I'm not in favor of us doing a 3-year contract with this for the SROs. That we need to be able to look at it and renegotiate what happens with the SROs, because oftentimes we want to have a good fit for our schools, because it's a different kind of officer that we need at schools other than the regular, so that's one of those things that I don't want people to feel like that there is a indebtedness that we already have, because we do need to be able to talk about what that need is at the schools for our schools, and how not only our schools will help to meet that and mitigate and build the relationships with the police officers, but how they are actually going to serve our students well as well. And I'm not committed to. I am not going to want to approve a 3-year contract with this. Specifically, smaller, a few years less, but I'm not comfortable with a 3-year commitment to this at all. That's my comment.
Okay. I believe, I could be wrong, but I believe in the past, they might have either been 3 years or 2 years previously. But I want, they were 2 years usually, but I do want to also mention that we have had, luckily we have had, and I think because of work from both the district and the city, we have had a really good relationship, not only with the city, but also with the Rialto Police Department. They have done in the past a stellar job helping, not only helping keeping the city of Rialto safe, but also the schools, along with our own safety officers. I know from experience, past experience, that the salary, the cost does not pay for the total amount of the officers' salaries. I believe it used to be half and half. For each officer, the city pays for half the salary, the district pays for the other half, and that's where the cost comes in. And also, I believe that Rialto officers, SROs, cannot go into the schools that are actually not their jurisdiction, which is San Bernardino City and Colton. So I believe one of the high schools pertains to a neighboring jurisdiction, and so that's why there's also the need to approve SROs from the other agencies. But in retrospect, I can understand the concern, but just because we have had no major issues with Rialto PD, and because they have given us a very a good service, a very safe service, and one of the things that I like is that they actually don't, with the memorandum of understanding, they actually don't walk around our schools like nobody can tell them anything. They work in conjunction with our school administration, with the leadership of those schools, with the district, and ultimately their law enforcement authority only comes into effect when it's actually needs to come into effect. So the other thing about it is these are armed officers, and they have a certain liability for their own weapons and their actions if they ever need to use them. But with all of the hysteria across the country with mass shootings and whatnot, if we had to choose our staff over the PD, I think it's not a bad idea for the PD to be available if we need them to respond to some sort of crisis. I personally I don't think there's anything wrong with the 3-year contract, but I know that in the past they've been 2-year contracts, but if it's because it was brought forward and we haven't had any issues, I wouldn't mind being in favor of it, but there's no other questions or comments.
President Montez, I just wanted to mention and echo some of the comments that you made in regards to there's new leadership at the Rialto Police Department, the leadership there. I had the opportunity to meet with leaders and discuss and talk about the safety of our students at schools, not particularly about this contract, but about how we can just work and do things better and be more responsive to each other and the needs that we have for the students of the city of Rialto. And so just to echo that they were very responsive in regards to our meeting, and we had a very positive meeting a few weeks ago.
And the chief even though he's not available tonight, is okay with moving forward with this 3-year contract? Because I know the chief and our safety department work hand in hand with the SROs and the Rialto Police Department on multiple things. They work together, especially at night when they're when our staff and the officers are out there protecting the school.
Yeah, they have a good relationship. I don't know firsthand, obviously, of the contract and the negotiations of that, so I can't say that the chief signed off, but I would be assured, just based on the relationship that we have and the negotiations that we have with Chief Leary and the police department, that they're good with it. Yes.
This opens up a lot of communication, but it's vital, okay? And I just want to go on record as saying that it's, other than a state of emergency where, you need martial law or something, I'm just using it as an example of the emergency, but the principals at each school, at each site, know the students and the faculty better than probably anybody else in that's their domain, that's their jurisdiction. That needs to be respected. There's clinicians. People go to school and they get the special training. You have a lot of kids that act up sometimes, and the principals know this. And sometimes when you have other agencies coming in, they may disregard the value that a principal has at that school. And I just want to go on record that principal has the green or red light. They need the ultimate authority to proceed and give direction. And if the agencies aren't listening to the principal, I think we're moving in the wrong direction. So I know I'm risking by saying that, but I've seen it backfire where our principals, if they would have listened to the principals, we wouldn't have got ourselves in the messes that we did.
Mr. Bruce, Mr. Leary submitted the agenda item, so obviously he was able to review it and obviously approve it if he submitted it. Did you get a chance to review the item, the memorandum of understanding?
Yes. So again, my discussion with him was about the SROs. You can see that it's the 3 high schools. Their 4th was included. Probably should have been included in the actual writing of it. It's the middle schools as well. And so they do rotate. To Mr. Ayala's point, it's absolutely true that the principal knows the culture of the school best, and that you need an officer who's going to navigate anything that relates to penal under the guidance of the principal, because it is teamwork. And so to Ms. Walker's point, I understand what you're saying about if somebody's not strong and we have a 3-year contract and they're not a fit, that's something that would need to be addressed. Absolutely. What the hope is I think we have common ground. If there's 3 years and we have the right SROs, you kind of want to continue it because, you know, we have the benefit of the right officer who's working with us and knowing where the line is in regards to, we have the relationships with the students, we're proactive, and we go under the guidance of the principal and we work together versus a new person. And so again, I think we want the same thing, it's just how you get there. And so I agree with you. I think there has to be these meetings between PD and with where we're going in terms of restorative practices and PBIS and the principals. And so there may be, you know, work to be done. But I do think that I need to defer to Chief Gordon because I think he has more of the relationship with PD. And again, I think a lesson learned for me is not knowing that the 3-year contract is not the status quo, something I need to work on. You're telling me it's 2-year or 1 year. And so that's definitely a circle back for me to find out, well, if this is not status quo, I need to make sure I do a better job of informing the board.
And generally, you know, it's routine to do sometimes 1 or 2 year, but you know, and then again, nobody can tell us what the reason for making it a 3-year was other than speculation. But I think, Mr. Ayala, I think you might be referring to or calling to an incident where I think you referred to an incident that did not involve resource officers, if I recall.
I agree.
Yeah, but anyway, if we could bring this back, if the board would prefer to bring this back and let Ms. O'Calley weigh in on this, I don't mind. If it's time sensitive, then we obviously have to take action on it tonight. Do you guys know? Is it time sensitive? Can this wait till the next meeting, or does it have to be voted on tonight?
Could we ask Angela Brantley, Ms. Brantley, if you have any input?
Good evening, Board. Angela Brantley, Lead Student Services Agent. So a couple of comments. I know that we've utilized with the Rialto Police Department the same SROs for several years. They have very effective and healthy relationships with our principals. If I recall, I believe the last contract prior to this one was 3 years, but I was trying to find out for sure. Doing it year by year is possible, but I think Chief Leary, and it definitely is his recommendation. So for that question, I'm sure it was certain his recommendation. He does have a very strong relationship with the city.
Yes,
he works collaboratively with them in terms of our direction as the district made changes to eliminating our clean sweep citations, as we've made changes there. They sit on our safety department monthly meetings when we did the assessment about the pepper spray, all those pieces. They're actively involved in a lot of the decisions that we make, those 3 SROs. So summer school, I believe, is ending. So I'm just kind of thinking what's going on in the district where we have school students actually here, and could it wait till July 10th? That's kind of what I'm thinking in terms of a concern, whether it could be
Fiscal year is July
pulled.
1st.
Right. And so that would be your call whether to pull it or not. But I definitely know that it's Chief's recommendation, and based on the experience that I've had working with Chief and with the SROs, that it's been a healthy relationship, and they understand where our district is going in terms of restorative practices, and they have made adjustments in terms of how they even move forward with our kids based on that. They have a really strong relationship with Chief.
And I've seen them help some of our schools with traffic in the mornings when they do get a chance. I've seen them do that too. But that has to do with adults. So if, people are flying by the schools and they get pulled over and get cited by PD, that's their prerogative. But you did just mention and share with us that they do have a healthy relationship with our safety department and our schools.
And I think we've monitored the number of citations that they've issued. They may have been more frequently issuing citations years ago, but I think they've reduced that too in terms of working with our site and our staff, making those determinations. So it's your call. Anything else?
I'd like to make a motion with explanation. Okay, I'd like to move on this based on what Mr. Martinez said as July 1st being the fiscal year. It could possibly do more damage to us because we do need people, professionals out there helping us direct traffic, help with the kids, et cetera, et cetera. So, maybe down the road we look at the contract and see if it was effective. If it wasn't, get a report on it, and I think that would be fair.
I'm ready to move forward as well.
I'm making a motion to accept.
Second.
Okay, if there's no more questions or comments, we'll call for the vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Gotta call for nays.
Any abstentions or nays?
Nays.
Okay. All right, next we go to item 9. Is to approve the appointment of the principals and the athletic directors of Carter, Eisenhower, and Rialto High Schools as site-level representatives of the California Interscholastic Federation League for the CIF League for the 2019-2020 school year. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Questions or comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Next we go to item 10. Do we have a motion to approve the renewal of the agreement with Blackboard Inc. for a 1-year subscription from July 1st, 2019 through June 30th, 2020 for use of the Blackboard Inc. as a centralized communication service at a cost of $65,425.90 to be paid from the general fund? I always think it's funny when they add the 90 cents.
I'll make the motion. The cost has been comparable for several years now.
Second.
Okay.
Any other questions or comments?
Just a question. Who has access to the Blackboard? Do all students have access, or this is just at administrator level?
Ms. Joffrey, could you elaborate a little, please?
Students absolutely do not have access to Blackboard for various reasons, but the administrators are all trained at the school sites. The directors should be trained. Not only do they have access for it for voice, but they also have access for email, and this year, about 4 months ago, we started the text as well.
Oh, thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, with that, any more questions or comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Next we go to item 11. Do we have a motion to approve a division of the state architect inspector agreement with Nolan Construction Modernization of Building R project at Eisenhower High School from July 2019 to December 31st, 2020 for a total cost not to exceed $50,000, including reimbursable expenses to be paid from the Fund 21 Measure Y Series C General Obligation Bond Fund.
So moved.
Second.
Any questions or comments?
We went through this before with Mohammed, and he said it's necessary, before we can move on with the project. So, based on what he told us last time.
Okay, we do have Iris Chu available just in case before she retires. Any questions?
That's a good resource.
Are we good?
Yeah, we're good.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Chu, for being on standby. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Next, we go to item K12, approve an agreement with Catch On, Inc. for an annual license effective July 1st, 2019 through June 30th, 2020 at a cost of $58,750 to be paid from the general fund. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Any questions or comments?
Just wanted to thank IT, Ms. Scantleberry, for moving this forward. That's quite a package.
Thank you, Ms. Scantleberry. Any more questions or comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Next, we go to K13, approve the renewal of the contract with College Board for the 2019-2020 school year to pay for all 8th grade students to take the PSAT. 8-9, all 9th grade students to take the PSAT, NMSQT, and the SAT school day for all 11th grade students, effective July 1st, 2019 through June 30th, 2020, at a cost of $81,811.50 to be paid from the general fund. Do we have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Any questions or comments?
Worth every penny.
That's right.
And the 50 cents at the end.
Right.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Item K14, approve the school calendars for the 2020 through 2021 and 2021 through 2022 and 2022 through 2023 school years.
So moved.
Question.
Second.
Question. Same amount of work days, or we increase the work days for teachers or students?
What we did is, as far as the committee, we mirrored the 3 years that we put forth before. We had under the leadership of Beth Curtis, we had a variety of stakeholders, classified staff, certificated staff, we had parents, we had site admin, and what we did is we mirrored what was happening for the last 3 years. So in terms of the work days, it remains the same. There were a few minor changes because sometimes holidays fall at different periods of time. But, I think everybody appreciates having that 3-year calendar ahead of time, and it's pretty much very similar to the last 3 years.
Excellent. Thank you.
Any other questions or comments? No. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Next, we go to K15, approve an agreement with San Bernardino Community College District to qualify as an active member of the AB 104 California Adult Education Program Consortium and receive an allotment of $924,470 from July 1st, 2019 through June 30th, 2020. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor? Questions or comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Next, we go to K16. Do we have a motion to approve an agreement with Vivian E. Billups, a professional corporation, to provide legal services for special education programs effective July 1st, 2019 to June 30th, 2020 at a rate of $190 per hour to be paid from the general fund?
So moved.
Second.
Questions or comments? $190 an hour for an attorney is not bad. We've seen higher. We've paid higher. So thank you, Ms. Billups. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Next, we go to item K17, to approve an agreement with 3 Chords, Inc., DBA Therapy Travelers, to provide nursing services for student in county program and non-public schools, SLPAs for speech services, and credentialed teachers for students who need home instruction during the day, effective July 1st, 2019 through June 30th, 2020, at a cost of $300,000 to be paid from the general fund. Do we have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Questions or comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Next, we go to item K18, approve an agreement with Autism Spectrum Intervention Services and Training to provide applied behavior analyst aids effective July 1st, 2019 through June 30th, 2020 at a cost of $400,000 to be paid from the general fund. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Any questions or comments?
Yes. Just remember, years back, they said that we were spending too much money in that area, okay? And I still believe we haven't spent enough, because some of our kids need all the help that they can get. And if they criticize us for spending too much money in that area, I say so be it. So that's just a comment.
Ms. Seeley? Yes. Is this part of bringing everything back to us instead of jobbing it out, so to speak?
No, good evening. No, these services are per the student's IEPs or settlement agreements. So once a student has a certain level of behavior that we can't support within the school district, then we have to contract with non-public agencies. And so this is a non-public agency we contract with to service.
Okay. Okay. Thank you for the clarification. Ready to vote?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Next, we go to item K19. Do we have a motion to approve an agreement with Behavioral Autism Therapies, LLC, to provide applied behavior analyst aids effective July 1st, 2019 through June 30th, 2020 at a cost of $300,000 to be paid from the general fund?
So moved.
Second.
Any questions or comments? I just have a quick question. This is for the same service as the previous item, but just a different company?
Yes, it's just a different company. So sometime per settlement agreements, parents want a particular company. Or if one company doesn't have aides, then we have to contract out with another one, just to make sure we have consistent services.
Smart move, smart move. Sometimes it's better not to give one particular company the whole pie. You know, cut it up, give some to some to the other. It's good to be able to have backup in case one's not available. So thank you. Any other questions or comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Next we go, Next we go to K20, approve an agreement with ACES Education and Interpreting Services to provide American Sign Language, dictation, interpreting services to hearing impaired students for their individualized education plan IEP effective July 1st, 2019 through June 30th, 2020 at a cost of $400,000 to be paid from the general fund. Do we have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Questions or comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Next, we go to item K21. Do we have a motion to approve an agreement with John Tracy Clinic to provide auditory verbal therapy services effective July 1st, 2019 through June 30th, 2020 at a cost of $150,000 to be paid from the general fund? Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Questions or comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Next, we go to item K22, approve an agreement with Pathway to Speech to provide auditory verbal therapy services effective July 1st, 2019 through June 30th, 2020 at a cost of $150,000 to be paid from the general fund. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Questions or comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Next, we go to item K23. Do we have a motion to approve a tentative settlement agreement between the Rialto Unified School District and the Rialto Education Association?
So moved.
Do we have a second? Questions or comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Next, we go to K24. Do we have a motion to approve a salary increase of 3% for all certificated and classified management, supervisory, confidential, and contract management employees effective July 1st, 2019 at a cost of $773,562 to be paid from the general fund, adult education fund, child development fund, and the cafeteria fund?
So moved.
Second with the question.
Okay, Mr. Martinez?
I believe this goes to, I need to route it through Dr. McDuffie. I noticed that CSEA is not included here. Is that because we have not settled yet?
That's correct. This is for management.
Okay. Okay, and I wanted to thank REA because, as I'll explain to CSEA a little later, that this is the benefit of settling before we get to this point in the budget. Then we know what we're spending for the next year. As of right now, it's kind of up in the air. So, thank you either way. Thank you, Mr. President.
Mr. Ayala.
This is kind of a sensitive issue, but that's what we're here for, to bring up our comments. You know, sometimes the gaps get large between our groups, and we need to find ways to bring those gaps closer in line. So without spelling it out, there are ways, but the leaders at B need to discuss those ways amongst themselves, and I think that's enough that we have to say at this point.
Agreed.
And for the record, this does include the 3% salary increase for also classified management.
Yes.
So in a way, classified is included in this item. Do we have any other questions or comments?
Can I comment on this?
If the board,
Typically not supposed to, but I'm okay with it if the board's okay.
Yeah, typically we don't do this, but I think under the circumstances, maybe we'll listen and not respond.
30 seconds.
Okay. So the only thing that I want to say about this is congratulations to REA for settling their contract. We are trying hard to get ours settled. It does include classified management. It is interesting that this is, it's not exactly new, but it's not, I couldn't say it's past practice. Past practice has always been that management is held off on their raise until they've settled with classified as well. There was a change, I think, either last year or the year before. So that's just something that I would like you to take into consideration.
We appreciate it. Thank you.
Excuse me, question. Are you asking for us to hold off on it?
No. REA deserves their raise. This is their contract.
No, REA's item was already approved. This item is item 24, and it's the 3% salary increase for all certificated and classified management, supervisors, confidential, and contract management employees.
I guess what I'm asking for is I would like to have a conversation with Dr. Avila about maybe getting it changed back in the future.
Dr. McDuffie, if you would.
Thank you, Mr. Cordasco. Any other questions or comments for staff? All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Next, we go to item K25. Under Government Code Section 54953, it was amended effective January 1st, 2017 to require the governing board, prior to taking final action on an employment agreement, to orally report a summary of the recommendation for the salaries, salary schedules, or compensation paid in the form of fringe benefits for local agency executives. The lead innovation agent is a local agency executive, and a proposed contract for employment is before us this evening. The proposed contract specifies that effective July 1st, 2019, the lead innovation agent's base salary shall be $202,535.00. Again, that's $202,535 per year for 12 months of service, and that the lead innovation agent shall be entitled to 23 days of annual vacation with pay, vacation accrual. Can somebody help me with that word?
Accrual.
Accrual. I sound like my dog Apollo. Accrual ceases beyond 40 days of
accrual. That word.
Accrual.
No, this one's with the D now. Accrued. Thank you, Ms. Joffrey. Thank you. Unused vacation. So with that, do we have a motion to approve item K25, the contract, employment contract for Kelly Bruce to serve as lead innovation agent? And I've already read the details as consistent with Government Code Section 54953.
So moved.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Ms. Walker, and thank you, Mr. Martinez. Any questions or comments? Mr. Bruce, we thank you for your service, and we know that you will not let us down. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Thank you, Board.
Next, we go to item K26, approve the recommendations of the Administrative Hearing Panel, Administrative Hearings, case numbers 18-1966 and 18-1972. Stipulated expulsions, case number 18-1973, and reinstatement hearing, case number 17-1855. Do we have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. The next regular meeting of the Board of Education of the Rialto Unified School District will be held on Wednesday, July 10th, 2019 at 7 p.m. at the Dr. John R. Casalunas Education Center, 182 East Walnut Avenue, Rialto, California. Materials distributed or presented to the Board of Education at the board meeting are available upon request from the superintendent's office. Do we have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Any questions or comments? Or forever hold your peace? Just kidding. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.